because we have a lot going on in the country right now. A lot of the members of the class, almost every member of the class of 2020, did not get their graduation, so that was one disappointment. And I know they're looking forward to going to college and all of the experiences that go with that. And a lot of them are looking forward to one day joining a Greek letter organization, particularly a Black Greek letter organization. So again, I am so happy to have with us today members of the Divine Nine. So we will start with first, I just need a thumbs up from everyone that it's okay to record this session. Thank you, because it is being Facebook Live, but it is being recorded to be uploaded to Instagram and YouTube. Thanks for that. So we will begin with everyone introducing themselves, telling us what college or university you attended. Thanks so much for wearing your letters. I know that was a last minute request on my part. And then tell us your organization and starting with my top left. So Warren, we'll start with you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Warren Conway. I'm a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. I went to Murray State University in Murray, Kentucky. Currently, I was an engineering major there, and currently I'm in law school at Southern University Law Center.
Nice. And Jordan Thompson.
Hi everyone, I am still an undergrad, so I'm going into my senior year at Miami University in Oxford, Ohio. I am a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and I was initiated into the Land of Mu chapter in spring 2019.
Nice, thank you. And Darren, you're next.
Hi, my name is Darren Davis. I'm a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, Iota Tau chapter at the Louisiana State University.
Thank you. And Mel?
Mel Cordier, spring 2009, initiative of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, the Pi Epsilon chapter at Tulane University in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Thank you. And Jordan Bates?
Good afternoon. I'm a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, also a graduate of Xavier University, Louisiana College of Pharmacy, class of 2019, and I was initiated at the Beta Tau chapter.
Thank you. And I know I'm gonna get this wrong, Sunil?
Chanel.
Chanel, thank you.
All good. My name is Chanel Reed, member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, across the New Side chapter. That's the at Louisiana State University, Fall 13 Phi Club.
Thank you. Shannon?
It's good to see everyone, especially Sora Jordan. How are you? My name is Shannon Birdsell. I am a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I also attended Louisiana State University for undergrad, and I was initiated in the Eta Kappa chapter. I attended Hampton University, where I received my master's degree in speech language pathology, excuse me. And so I currently reside in Woodbridge, Virginia.
Thank you. Thanks so much for being here. And we'll have a couple of other people who are getting off from work that will join us a little bit later in the call. But we're going to jump right into the questions. So I think a student may have a particular affinity for your particular Greek letter organization because they have family members that have attended, or they have seen different things on YouTube or have just heard about it, and anybody can jump in. Why would a student want to join one of your organizations?
I guess I can go first. As a member of Alpha Phi Alpha, I would say that a lot of things speaking, and some of these, many of these great traits, they rub across all members of the Divine Nine. Let's start there. We hold ourselves in high regard, and we try to lead by example, as well as our influence on campus and just in life in general. As a member of Alpha Phi Alpha, what drew me to Alpha was the fact that it was a lot of like-minded individuals as myself, scholarly, social, and giving back to the community. Those were the things just individually at my campus that stood out to me about the Newside chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha. But first and foremost, giving back to the community. I feel like there were a lot of different outreach opportunities from LSU with Newside, and that's the thing that really stood out to me.
Thank you.
I'll go next. The most important thing about Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated is that once you join, you gain a new family of brothers. And, you know, before, as of right now, all of my friends, except for, you know, the people I grew up with in elementary school, they're all brothers. They're all members of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity. And, you know, that bond and that brotherhood that we have built throughout this time, you know, it's irreplaceable. And these are going to be the people that, you know, I cross with and, you know, that have befriended me throughout my fraternity. They're going to be my friends for life. I'm sure they're going to be my groomsmen at my wedding. They're going to be there on at my funeral when I die, you know. So it's just the friendships that I built that have made Omega Psi Phi worth it more than anything else for me.
Okay. Yes.
I'll go ahead on and chime in. I'll say to attribute to what was mentioned earlier about the campus involvement and the service as well as the social aspect. I originally, personally, I was one of those type of people. I had no remote interest in becoming Greek when I first entered into college. And when I first entered in undergrad, I was originally at Florida A&M University in Tallahassee. And again, I had no remote interest in it. And that was at the time of Hurricane Katrina. They found out that I was a native of New Orleans. And these particular group of guys, they came to me and they found out who I was. And they asked me, you know, their first interest was, how is my family? How are your belongings and things of that sort? Are you aware of where your family is? Do you need anything? You know, do you need toiletry? That and you know, from that point moving forward, their interest in me wasn't anything Greek related. It was just purely out of interest of me as a human being, and I took light of that. And when I transferred back home to New Orleans and went to Tulane, I was particularly sold on Kappa, and it just happened organically.
I'll share my experience. A lot of people, you know, they talk about when they got to campus and what they saw in the organizations they saw. But for some people, it starts at a younger age. So for example, in elementary and throughout middle school, I was not very strong in math. That was like the one subject that, you know, you put a math problem in front of me, you could forget about it. But I had a tutor who was an AKA, and, you know, she really helped me. She sat down with me, you know, went through the problems together. She also attended my church, so it just made that connection so much, you know, more special. We also have a very close family friend who I've known since I was very young, who's also a soror. So sometimes it starts when you don't even realize it, like when you're younger and you make those certain connections. And then that's when I figured, I was like, this is, you know, I see them helping me, and that's the organization, that's the type of service that I want to do in my life. So that was my experience.
Yeah, I can also add to this as well. I really agree with what Chanel had said in the beginning, that a lot of things that our fraternities and sororities offer are very similar across the board. And I would also, in addition to the sisterhood and brotherhood aspect, there's amazing networking opportunities within our organizations, whether that's with alumni that have graduated from our chapter, just common ground of meeting someone that's in the same organization as you, professional development with attending the conferences that we attend regularly, and a lot of good leadership opportunities. If you want to be a leader on campus or in life in general, you're in a lot of good positions to influence other people, which is really important. I know for my chapter, we do weekly service and we tutor kids at a community center, and that's just a really good kind of how Sora Shannon was saying, like having someone in your life at an earlier age who is a role model that you can look up to. That's another thing that we do. And I would also say that our organizations offer a platform that you didn't necessarily have before. And what I mean by this is, at my home church, I used to do service called Sewing for Haiti. And we made reusable pads, baby diapers, and blankets to be sent to women in Haiti who need them. And I was able to take that and make it an event at my school, and it was on such a bigger platform. And so I think those are just the main things, in addition to the sisterhood and brotherhood, that all of our organizations can offer, honestly.
Thank you. And Jordan actually brought up some points that leads me to my next question. So thank you for that. What are some of the activities, community service events that your particular chapters have taken part in?
Yeah, I think for my chapter specifically at LSU, a lot of the guys in our chapter are very involved with social justice. Even right now, with the height of everything that's going on, you'll see some of the members of my chapter kind of leading and spearheading a lot of some of the moves that are happening surrounding like Blackout LSU and some of the other local grassroots organizations that are being founded through the LSU community in Baton Rouge. We also have the March of Dimes. That's one of our national philanthropies where we donate money for premature babies. And that's something that's personal for me as though I was born 3 months early. So going back to the question of what was drawing me to Sigma, a lot of those things started even before I was able to walk, with me benefiting from some of their national philanthropies. Some other things that they're involved in as far as service-wise is Sleep Out for the Homeless. We do a canned food drive and literally sleep outside to kind of empathize with people who are going through and experience homelessness in the Baton Rouge community, but also want to be productive and having a canned food drive so we can provide for some of those temporal needs as well.
Thank you.
My chapter, the Pi Epsilon chapter at Tulane, primarily what we're really big on is registering the vote. So we do a vote registration. I guess you can call it a dorm storm. Make sure everybody's registered to voting. Actually, we go around in various neighborhoods and knock on doors. And then also, as of late, we've done the census. We've done that twice, to my recent recollection. We've also donated to several music programs around the city, several high school music programs. Of course, everybody knows New Orleans is kind of like one of those music capitals. So, we adopt certain kids with the high GPA, and we'll, if they're enrolled in a music program, of course, then we'll donate to them whatever their respective instrument is, just giving them a refresher on stuff that they need in regard to like materials towards that instrument, or even if they need any new musical method books and things of that sort. And we've actually adopted an entire band back in 2010.
Nice.
One of the initiatives, oh, no, you can go ahead, Shannon.
Okay, all right. So it's been a minute since undergrad, but just the events that took place within the Eta Kappa chapter on LSU's campus. During my time being in the chapter, we had our sorority had a alliance with National Alliance on Mental Illness, which is NAMI. So what we hosted was an event called Tying Loose Ends, which was centered around, mental health and mental health awareness. So we had a speaker come in, and she talked to us about, how to maintain your mental wellness, activities that you can do, like, how to ease anxiety and things like that. And then afterwards, we did like making tie-dye t-shirts. So things like that. Even we have something called Pink Goes Red for, the American Heart Association, where we bring awareness about heart disease. And we know that disease is very prominent, especially in Black women. So we had someone come in, teach us how to do CPR on, the dummies, get on the floor. But these are things that we can carry over into real life. So those are some of the events that we hosted on campus during my time within the chapter.
Thank you.
Oh no, it's all good. Some of the initiatives that the New South chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha kind of spearheaded was we had this thing called Pi and Alpha. So essentially, what it does is just like Mel mentioned earlier, it was centered around voters registration. One of our national programs is a voteless people is a hopeless people. So what we would do is we would stand in the in Free Speech Alley at LSU, and then we would, for every person who signed up and registered to vote, they would be able to pie us. So there were a lot of people who wanted to get a shot at pieing us. Another thing that's really important for us is one of our national programs is Go to High School, Go to College. So what that is that's geared towards mentorship of high school students. So specifically, one of my line brothers, DeQuint Glenn, started an organization called Click for Help, which is actually an organization that not only tutors some high school students in some areas of concern, but as well does things like canned food drives and famous for a toy drive for, you know, some of the underprivileged kids in need. Because what people don't know is LSU is smack dab in the middle of the ghettos of Baton Rouge. So we always want to try to find ways to get to the less fortunate.
At Murray State, what we did was Murray State is a PWI, predominantly white institution, and there's not a lot of spaces for Black people to enjoy the Blackness of being us. So what the Alpha Beta chapter did, we decided to have a banquet, the Black Women's Appreciation Dinner. And what we did was we took that as an opportunity to honor all of the Black women on campus. So, you know, we served them dinner. They came into the banquet hall, we served them dinner, we gave them flowers, and we wanted to really make them feel comfortable and safe in a small town where there was no spaces for them to feel comfortable or for any other people of color to feel comfortable.
Thank you. Darren brought up something, and this wasn't one of the questions, but I'm really interested to know, because of course I can't let this moment go by of this time that we're living in. So I'm really interested to know what your organizations are doing in response to the civil unrest that we're currently facing.
Well, I'm much older now. I'm far removed from my undergraduate days, but on the graduate level, we're actually starting at the grassroots. Of course, we've already done our protesting and our demonstrations. Now we're going to the grassroots, and we're actually partnering ourselves as well as one of the graduate chapters of Omega Psi Phi. The former high school that I graduated from, a lot of their alumni culturally grow on into either Kappa or Omega because we're an all-male African American school here in the city. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to set up mentorship programs. Kappa League, which is our junior auxiliary group, Kappa League is already dominant on that particular campus at that high school. But now we're going to do a lot more than just doing the auxiliary groups. And like I said, with the assistance of Omega Psi Phi graduate chapter, I forget the exact chapter name, excuse me. But yeah, we're actually going to break the mold of the thought process of the young teenage mind, and we're going to broaden their horizons and try to elevate their thinking beyond their peers, because really and truly at that age level, that's where the distrust for the police force and government officials starts.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah. A big part about leadership for our chapter is influence, seeking to use positions that they've earned, been elected to influence the culture in the current state of the LSU community. So something in particular that brothers Cameron Cryer and Devin Woodson have been working on right now at LSU is the renaming of some of the buildings of LSU. One of the ones in particular is our library was named after a former president of our university who had some very interesting thoughts about integration and was not for it. So those two guys have been leading and meeting with like the Black Caucus, the Black Student Union, Black Male Leadership Initiative, and collaborating across all these different connections and Black organizations at LSU to spearhead the changing of these names. And that's really important because representation matters. We want to know that our university is for us because we are bringing so much to that community, and we don't want to feel as though, hey, you guys are idolizing or putting these people who oppressed us on a pedestal. And other things such as really active on social media. I think that's a huge thing. Social media gives you a big platform to reach different people who you may not come into physical contact with. So they're leading a charge and being very active on our social media and tagging different organizations and making sure that they're informing people through a lot of the posts as well.
Thank you. Thank you. So you all have mentioned really some amazing things. So tell us, what would a undergrad student do to become a member of one of your organizations? Anyone can jump in. I mean, I'm sure it's more than like finding somebody on the yard and saying, I want to be a part of your organization. What are some of the...
Yeah, I'll answer that.
Okay.
So the main thing that was preached to me is that Alpha is not for everybody, you know. And like I said, many of these concepts are synonymous with every single chapter. The main question that I was asked amongst me trying to become an Alpha, the main question that always stuck with me is, what do you bring? Because Alpha can be beneficial for a multitude of people, but what are you going to add to the chapter? What do you bring? Do you have leadership on campus? Do you have, are you scholastically influential? Do you have great community service skills? What do you bring to the chapter that we don't already have? So with me, my gift is being able to perform musically. So that was something that I could do to bring something different to the chapter, as well as me being the vice president of LSU NAACP, and then me being involved in Tiger TV Sports. It was something that's different because everybody wants brotherhood or sisterhood. Everybody has good grades. What is that unique thing that you're going to add to kind of boost the unique brotherhood?
Thank you.
To speak on that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
You good?
I was going to say, you know, for as far as I'm concerned, in my personal opinion, the best way to show that you're interested in my organization is to work. You know, like when we have our, there's enough people in every organization who come in and they don't put in the work. If you show the people in your organization, in said organization, whichever one you decide on, that you're willing to work by showing up when we have community services, you know, showing up when we do things for the elderly or the canned food drive, or, you know, even being a helping hand whenever we need it. You know, don't tell me you're interested, show me you're interested. And that's how you show your interest to, you know, to people in my organization.
Thank you.
Dr. B, I think this is a question we get asked a lot about, like, what can a person do if they want to be in your organization? But, and I know this, I'm gonna sound like a broken record when I say this, but even before, you know, you're talking about showing interest in a specific organization, you have got to just do your research. That's the broken record that I'm talking about. Everybody's going to say, do your research. But, you know, seriously, it's more than what you see on social media. Social media has, like, you know, it influences everything these days. So it's more than what you see on social media. It's more than what your friends told you about, like, when they went to school and how it was. So, you know, you definitely have to get to know the organization that you're interested in. And, you know, just because somebody maybe told you that it might be a good fit, or you feel like that it might be a good fit, you know, you need to understand what these organizations, you know, stand for, what they're doing in the community. How does that align with, you know, your values and what you want to represent? So I think that's another step before even, you know, saying that this is a specific organization I want to be a part of, or this is the chapter that I would like to join. You know, what are the steps that you're taking beforehand so that, you know, once you get to that point.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I agree with all those things. Definitely. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Well, I agree with all those things. Definitely with showing interest, making sure that you express your own personal qualities, and then also like doing your research. But also before you even step out to that, I just say, if you're looking to even join an organization, you need grades as a priority. And really that's because a lot of people think that we don't have standards or requirements, or it's almost like a club where we don't have things that we need of you before you even join either a sorority or fraternity, but definitely you to have grades before anything, because that X's a lot of candidates, X's a lot of people out, considering that they might be demonstrating your interests, or they might have all the research and they've had family members that have joined and they express an interest, but if they don't meet the minimum requirements, that's still gonna keep them out.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah, I was just gonna add, definitely do your research. We hear that all the time. And I would say have your priorities straight. And what I mean by that is don't come in just because you want to wear pink and green and stroll. Like that, you have to have your priorities straight. We do so much more than that, so much more than what someone mentioned before, so much more than you see on social media, so much more than you see, you know, walking around campus. We do so much more than that, and it's a lifelong commitment. So you have to make sure that you have your priorities straight, you did your research, and you align with the values of not only the organization, but I would say too, because I've actually talked to a lot of my younger family members who are going to college, and they all want to be AKs because I'm an AK, which great. But I always tell them, like, you need to wait till you get to school and see that chapter, because every chapter is different. What my chapter does might not be what, you know, another chapter does. So you have to make sure that you align with the values of the organization as a whole, but also that you fit and mesh with that chapter. So yes.
Thank you. And to that point, what is like a time requirement, you know, like on average, that once someone commits and is accepted to being a member crosses, like what time commitments are expected? Because y'all, you know, they are in college and also have to concentrate on studying to graduate. So what are time requirements like?
As far as, I mean, I guess as far as just overall commitment, it is a lifetime commitment. It doesn't just go by just your undergraduate years or even a year or two after. It is a lifelong commitment. I myself, I'm a person who has many irons in the fire. I'm an entrepreneur over here. I still have a day job. I'm active with my undergraduate. I'm also an assistant band director as well. So I have all of these different things going on at one time. But doing Kappa, my undergraduate years actually prepared me for that, because of course I was a full-time student. I'm a full-time employee working in retail, and I also have this fraternity that's requiring a good bit of my time. I have to show up if we decide to do church service on Sunday, even though I may have went out and partied all night. We also have to roll up our sleeves and pitch in and actually assist these elderly when we feed the elderly for Christmas and things of that sort. So it requires a lot of time, if not, if you don't actually have the man hours to physically put in for every single thing. Give as much of your time as you're physically able to.
Okay, thank you.
I can add to this as well. I would say as an undergrad, it's definitely like a second major or a job, honestly, in terms of time commitment. I go to a PWI, so my chapter is rather small, so we have a lot of work kind of spread between a smaller chapter. And to someone who's not a part of our organizations, I would say to think about an event that you might go to that is hosted by one of our organizations, and that event might be from 7 to 9. And think about being in that organization. Well, we were there an hour early to set up and an hour later to clean up, and then the past month to plan that event. So it's a lot more behind the scenes work that I think a lot of people don't notice or take into consideration, because people always see the final product. But it's definitely like a double major, another job. Obviously, academics comes first for me, but AK is a close second.
Yeah, and I think it's important to point out that most of our organizations function as a business. We are incorporated for a reason. So a lot of that Sigma business is very important. Chapter meetings are of the utmost importance. Sometimes it may be an hour, which is pretty cool. Get in, get out there, just touching bases, kind of updating each other. Other days that chat may have lasted about 4 or 5 hours. It really depends on the season in which we're in. Fall semester is always super busy for our chapter with homecoming, with step shows, with different events that we're doing as far as recruitment wise, with service projects. We're trying to make sure that we're also kind of setting the tone academically for that semester. So study halls may be a little more intense in the fall, just to make sure that none of our guys are falling off or getting distracted by all the extracurricular things that are happening. But we still want to maintain a presence on campus as well. So a lot of that looks different based off of what committee you may be on. Your time may look a little different per semester, but I would agree with Jordan in a sense of, hey, this is kind of like a second major. But we do encourage our guys, because it can be overwhelming. A lot of things, what's important or what's helpful is when you incorporate Sigma into everything else that you're already doing. So if you know you're already part of another organization, how can you collaborate with that organization and Sigma? If you know a big thing about your time is, hey, I really want to get ahead academically, how can I make or push that through my chapter? So a lot of the men seeks to kind of cross-pollinate the things that they're already doing with Sigma. So they're still handling Sigma business and everything else that is coming along with that.
Thank you.
To kind of piggyback on what Jordan and Darren said, everything both of them said was absolutely true. But the thing that I would harp on about the time commitment is you get out of the frat what you put into it. Like if you don't ever donate any of your time, you're just not going to reap the benefits. You're not going to reap the rewards that other people have reaped who put in those hours in that time. And, coming from a small chapter, because when I came into the chapter, there was only 3 members in the chapter. We had that workload was very high. We had to put in hours upon hours upon hours to get the finished product and for that finished product to look like a production. And you had to be resourceful because, if you only have 3 people running the show, you got to find hands some kind of way, But I would say, and as far as a number of hours per week, you can expect anywhere from 10 to 20, maybe. But that's if you're going to be truly active and you're going to put the time in to make sure things are going right and things look the way that they need to look and you're conducting your chapter as it needs to be conducted.
Thank you.
Just echoing what Warren and Mel mentioned as far as like what you get out of it is what you put into it. But also like it looks different. Like this is a lifetime commitment. So what you were doing in undergrad, you're not going to be doing, 25, 50 years down the line. So yeah, what the programs that you do in undergrad are great, but we encourage lifetime commitment because your life, life changes, especially like in a situation or in a climate that we're in now. So you want to stay connected to your organization and you want to stay connected to your, to the other members that are in your organization and other members that are within the Divine Nine and those who are in other councils as well, because, right now we're talking about social justice. Who knows what we're going to be talking about in the next few months. So that lifetime commitment piece, I think, is very important. So what you put in undergrad is what you're going to get out of undergrad. But then also once you make that commitment year after year after year, it's the same type of principle and situation, I think.
Thank you. And just one more question, and then I'll ask you for any final thoughts. But is there any financial commitment for new members? And what does that look like?
I can answer.
Mm-hmm.
If you're thinking about joining an organization, start saving now. That's all I got to say. I'm not going to say exactly down to the penny how much it costs for me to join my organization, but it's not cheap. And I wouldn't say I find myself spending that much money like on the daily for my chapter. Like I feel like it was once that amount was paid, that was smooth, and then you have chapter dues, obviously. But I wouldn't say that you just are throwing out cash every other week. But definitely, I tell everybody this, can't say the exact number, but start a savings account today. Get you another job.
Thank you.
Yes, to echo what Jordan said, it's definitely not cheap. And then also the numbers as in whatever your entry level fees are also vary according to the number of members in your undergraduate chapter. So Tulane, of course, is a PWI, so we're a pretty small chapter. So our fees were, our fees were a little something up there. So yeah. So, just look to get a second job, tap mom and dad and grandma and, bust open that piggy bank and get ready, just get ready to financially commit just as much as you're going to physically commit your time.
Thank you. Thank you. And we'll wrap up, and everybody, please chime in. Any final thoughts that you want to say about just your organization as a whole or your particular chapter? Any advice for anyone looking to join your particular organization?
I would say what I said earlier, after you've done your research like they told you, and after you've decided what organization you want to be in, when everybody's sitting around the table deciding who they want and who they don't want, it's hard to say no to the person who put in the work. And nobody at the table is going to be like, oh, this guy came to every community service event. We don't want him. So that's my thought on it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would say for me and Sigma, for my child specifically, I would go ahead and throw out any kind of preconceived idea of what you may have about Sigma. Because I think what I was getting to was totally different from what I actually saw. We're one of the most diverse chapters on our campus. We are represented by the Latin community, Blacks, Egyptian, Hispanic, Hindu, something that I didn't expect to see in a historically Black fraternity, but here at LSU, and I'm seeing that as a going trend, even in a lot of chapters around our country, is that it truly is about the inclusive we, and being non-discriminatory and reaching all parts of our community, whatever that may look like, and using those different avenues to truly make an impact on LSU, Baton Rouge, and hopefully the world. So, like I said, put down any stereotypes you may think you may have and really try to make it your own.
Thank you.
College is a really tricky time for students because, you're coming out of that high school period and you got 4 years to really just figure out who you are, what you want to do. So amidst classes and trying to make friends, so many things are going to be put into your head. So it's easy to say, like, have a sense of self and know who you are before you join these organizations. It's hard to say that, but it needs to be said because I feel like a lot of times we go into a situation and we let our surroundings and the people that are around us maybe sometimes change us either for the better or for the worse. So just know your standards, know, what you value, respect yourself before you show interest in any organization, because I really feel like that'll take you a long way. And then, I think that's what I would like to share with those who are watching.
Thank you.
Just to echo that, because that's actually what I was going to say. Do your research, know yourself for sure, because, I wear my letters. I know who I am without my letters. I know my values, and they aligned with AKA. I didn't change who I was to become an AKA. This was a part of me. So do your research, stay true to yourself. Also, I would say, let things happen the way they're supposed to happen in terms of timing. I got to school and I immediately knew that I wanted to be an AKA because of the chapter that was at my school. I was like, yes, that was where I was supposed to be. And as a freshman, I was like pressed to join the chapter as a freshman. And I'm so thankful that that did not happen for me as a freshman, because I would have been stressed, overwhelmed, burnt out. and it happened when it was supposed to happen. And I think I was able to grow in myself so much, my first 2 years in college, experienced so much. I'm currently the chapter president. I feel like I'm a better president, I'm a better leader because I was able to have that time to develop that wasn't necessarily in the chapter. So let timing happen when it happens. And lastly, don't be weird. That's very vague, but I just want to say that I feel like everyone acts very weird when it comes to these things, tiptoes around it. It's not that deep, it's not that serious. Just be true to yourself, be genuine, and just don't be weird. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anybody else? No? Okay, well, thank you all so much for joining tonight, and this concludes this segment of Dr. B's Thursday Thoughts with the Divine Nine. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
Thank you. It was nice to meet you guys.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. Bye-bye.